Today I would like to discuss a very important subject. That is, why were we created and what stops us from doing what we were created to do. The verse states that Moshe Rabbeinu named his first son Gershom. Gershom means a stranger in a strange land. Now the Chafetz Chaim has a difficulty with this. First of all, his second son was named Eliezer. Eliezer was named after the fact that Moshe was saved from Paro when he was in Egypt, and he wasn't killed, and he ran away, he escaped. So really he should have named his first son after that miracle. The more important name between his two sons, Eliezer and Gershom, is Eliezer. Why didn't he name his first son Eliezer? Second of all, what is this name Gershom? It seems like a difficult name, a stranger in a strange land. Why would somebody name their son a stranger in a strange land? So the Chafetz Chaim wants to answer that he wanted to remind his son that his son should have in the essence of his being this idea that we as human beings actually come from above. Our neshamas, our souls, come from above and we come down into this land. He wanted to remind his son that you are essentially connected to the next world and not this world. Why did he want to name his son this way? Because he was worried about the influence that his grandfather would have on him, Yitro. Yitro was not yet connected to the Torah and the Jewish people. And the verse by Yitro says, and now he knew that God was the greatest. It's mashma, we can infer from there that before that he didn't know that God was the greatest. Yitro was not yet connected to the Torah, and therefore his acts were not up to par with the acts of the Avos, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. So Moshe was afraid that Yitro, Gershom's grandfather, was going to influence him and take him off of the true Torah path. So he gave his name Gershom to fix in his soul that in the end we are all going to return to God. Now the Chafetz Chaim brings a parable for this. There was one time a man that had to travel very, very far in order to make his livelihood. He went to this far place and he would collect up things that have tremendous value in the place where he came from, and he would bring them back. But he only went for a limited time. So now, if he's in the middle of his work, after this long travel, to go to this foreign place for a limited time, and someone comes up to him and says, hey, did you hear what it says in the paper? Politics? Who knows what? The man would say, listen, I really don't have time for this. I'm only here for a short period. I have to make my livelihood. This is how I make my livelihood for the whole year, and I have to go back soon. Please, I don't have time for what's written in the paper. The next day, the guy comes by, and he says, did you hear about this new computer they came out with? This new technology? It's unbelievable. He says, listen, I'm sorry, I cannot talk about these things. I am here for a limited period. I have to go back soon. I don't have time. I'm making my money now for the whole year. The next day, the guy comes up to him and says, did you hear about this new watch they came out with? This new style of clothes? Who knows what? He says, I told you, please leave me alone. I have no time for this. I have to get back. I have to work now, and I have to get back to where I came from. This is the only place where I can make my money. And I have to make it now, and then when I go back, I'll bring it back, but I don't have time for all this nonsense. So this is a parable for man. Man, in the end, after 120 years, is really going to go back to the source of all life, under the throne of glory, in front of God. He's going to return. But in the meantime, he was created in this world in order to do good deeds, mitzvahs, and to learn Torah. By learning Torah and doing good deeds, he perfects his soul. He gains something that he could have never gained if he would have stayed in the heaven. He came to the earth to perfect himself. Do good deeds, learn Torah, and do God's will. And by this way, he's perfecting himself. And he can't do it anywhere else. Now, the evil inclination is constantly bombarding us with all kinds of nonsense to keep us away from our real purpose in life. He's pulling us away with the news and all kinds of computers and fashion and clothes, all the things of this world. But we don't really come from this world. In the end, we're going to return. We don't have time for all these things. We have to do what we were created to do. What are we going to say to our Creator if we come back empty-handed? God sent us to perfect ourselves. And if we don't perfect ourselves and we come back empty-handed, we're going to be embarrassed. What are we going to say? So we really have to work on focusing on what our true purpose is. And we have to try to stop wasting our time on all kinds of nonsense. And by this way, by doing good deeds and learning Torah, we will be gaining what we need for eternity.